Hi, it's Rachel and I'm here for an update, which is a long awaited update actually. I did say when I started my channel that because of work commitments and how tired I am, especially in the first term after the summer holidays, that my videos might be a little erratic and my stitching time is, um, it's difficult when you work full time, let's just say that. So I didn't want to do an update and have next to nothing to share, so I've waited until now. So it's Christmas Eve and I've been off work a few days, so I've had a chance to do a little bit of stitching, and I have done some stitching, since my last update, which was probably the end of August, beginning of September, before I went back to work for the new term. So I'm going to share what I've done so far, and then I may talk about plans for next year also. So first thing I'm going to share is this project here. This is a Dimensions Gold Petite kit called Hydrangea in Bloom, and this is one that I took to work. I'm usually about half an hour to 45 minutes early for work before the school day begins, because otherwise I get stuck in traffic. I've not done a whole lot because sometimes that time has to be spent doing school things, but that's not bad for, before the start of the school day. So it's mostly background, and then these bits here are just the start of the hydrangea blooms. And I bought a super cute little scroll frame for that, which I'm kind of getting used to. It's kind of heavy for something that's really small like this. I did have it in a hoop, so I'm not sure which I prefer, but it's easier to maneuver the pattern around, obviously, than keep moving a hoop all the time. So that's that one. Then I think last time I was working on this one. This is Mirabilia's My Lady's Garden, and I've spent some time on this. I need to take the pattern off. So I think I've done a fair amount. This is on 32 count natural linen by Witchelt, I think. It's either Witchelt or DMC. I've spent quite a lot of time on her dress, and I've just started the gate over here. So I'm very pleased with how she's coming out. The gate and the border I mentioned last time, they're in the Kryneck, which I'm not sure whether you'll be able to see the sparkle there. It's kind of difficult to work with, but the result is really nice. I'm very pleased with how that's beginning to take shape. So I did think at one stage about maybe switching out the Kryneck for Petite Treasure braid, but I'd done virtually all the border. The border all the way around is the same blend. So I wanted the gate to match exactly, and it's not too bad. It's not as bad as the border, so I'm going to stick with that. This one here I've not worked on at all, so this is exactly the same as it was last time, unfortunately. This is an anchor design. I think it's called Summer in Bloom, from a cross stitch magazine. So this has not had any progress since last time, but I am quite, I'm itching to work on that because I really like the pattern and I want to get that one finished. The next one, let me see, I'll show you this anyway, just in case you've not seen my videos. That's how that particular pattern is going to end up. So it works quite quickly actually. That's on 28 count even weave. So yeah, it works up quite quickly. The back stitch takes a little longer, obviously, and it is quite intensive in places, but it's, I like the back stitch. It really defines the patterns. Then I did say I was going to work on this one. This is another Dimensions kit called Wreath of All Seasons. Try and show you that without too much glare. So I started this one. Again, I need to take my pattern off before I show it to you. And this, I'm trying to see if you can actually see that or not. This is where I am with that. I had to frog a fair bit of this. The words on the background, they are stitched in one strand of whichever colour it is, and I'd mistakenly stitched them in two. So the whole of the word summer had to come out and be restitched because I was afraid I'd run out, and I did check with my DMC colours to see if there was a match, and I didn't have anything close to that, so yeah, it had to come out. But I really like how it's turning out. The dragonfly, there's quite a lot of backstitch on the dragonfly, and yeah, that was quite intensive. That took a good few hours to do, but it's so delicate and pretty in real life, so I'm enjoying that one also. Then another morning project, I started this one, which is a Design Works kit. Haven't got very far on it. This one I've been doing before I leave for work. So I'm a morning person. I get up really early, far earlier than I need to. And so this has been just what I've been doing in the mornings before I even get ready for work. So normally I'm up at between 4:30 and 5 o'clock. I don't need to get up that early. I leave for work at usually about 6:15, or between 6 and 6:30. So I do have a little bit of time in the mornings before I need to get showered and things and get ready. So that's what I've been doing, and I think I'll probably continue with that as a morning project, even though obviously it's not going to be, none of these are going to be done for this year. Well, I might get that one done. Maybe if I did it tonight, it could be on the tree. It is Christmas Eve, so kind of limited on time there. And then also I've been working on this one. This again is a Dimensions Gold kit. If you watch my video on my Dimensions kits, I've got quite a lot of these, so I wanted to really try and make some headway on them rather than just sitting there. So this is the 12 Days of Christmas. And I've got one more 12 Days of Christmas pattern, which is the Stony Creek one. But I got this one first, so I have been working on it. And this is what I've done. So I started this last January, believe it or not. And my intention was, if I stitch one element one day every month, then it'd be done for this Christmas. But yeah, that didn't happen. So all I'd done when I picked it up was some of the, maybe a couple of hundred stitches of the kind of brown tan colours here on the first day. Hadn't done any of the red on the number or the partridge, hadn't done any of that at all, or any of the holly. But I've worked a good few hours the last few days on it. I've managed to do 2 of the days. The only bit that's still to do is the holly berries. So you can see the holly leaves here, and it's supposed to be a huge amount of French knots, which I did my first French knots on the Summer in Bloom sample of the magazine, one that I just showed you, and I'm not that confident with them, and there's a lot on here, and yeah, it could potentially be a huge learning curve. and I could learn how to master them. But I think I've decided to put some beads on there instead and have a bit of extra sparkle. There is some sparkle on here. It's not really going to pick up, but the gold colours on the partridge are a blend. Yeah, you can't really see that, but that's sparkly. And then on the turtle dove, the beak and his foot have also got some gold, which it's probably not going to show. So I think the beads would add to that kind of sparkle. So that's that one. That's most of what I said I was going to do. I've got one more project to share. I'm just reaching down to get that. This one, I was a little reluctant to share this, and I'll tell you why. So about a year ago, when I started getting back into cross stitch, I saw I can't remember if it was a video or I just saw the chart or what I saw, but anyway, I saw Soda Stitch's Sweet Bears, and I really wanted that chart. So I hunted it out, and so in the UK had that chart for sale, so I bought it. And then, as you do when you buy a chart, you start looking for other people's samples to see what kind of fabric you want to use. And when I was doing that hunt for what fabric's going to be best for that, I came across a pattern that had more tiers on it than the chart that I had. So if you're not familiar with this chart, it's little bears with cakes and candies on a cake stand, and I think there's maybe 4 or 5 tiers to this cake stand, and the one I saw had more. I was like, okay, well, I've bought a pattern and I wish I'd bought the extended version. So I hunted and hunted and hunted, couldn't find this extended version, and I was like, I wonder if somebody charted this themselves. And I think that's what happened. Somebody else charted it. And so the reason I haven't shared this before is because I tracked down the pattern, because when you really want something, you Google it until you found it. But the person that had shared it, well, it was in Russian first of all. So I was trying to use Google Translate to see whether you could buy it. That was my first intention. But I think somebody had charted it, but they'd shared the whole pattern. And I was like, oh, I don't really want to use this, because even though I've bought the pattern myself, the fact that they've shared all of it is in breach of copyright. But I really wanted to stitch it, and I was like, okay, I'm going to stitch it because I've bought the chart and I've got enough fabric for it. And I don't know, I feel a little bit not right about sharing it, so I'm not going to share a link or anything like that. If you want the pattern, please buy it, because that's the right thing to do, and then have a look for it and see if you find it. But anyway, I really like this and I wanted to share it, so I'm going to share how far I've got. I've done quite a lot of this. So the top parts, these are all from the original pattern, the Soda Stitch pattern, which you can get from So&So, or there's a place on Etsy you can get them. I've got a few Soda Stitch patterns from Etsy as well. And then it goes on, and I'm not sure which part of this, I'm going to have to scroll it up. I'm not sure which part of this where the original ends, but it's not finished yet. I think I've got maybe 2 or 3 more tiers to do. So that's as far as I've got. There we go. Yeah, I think I've got 2 more tiers to do. So it's a really huge project, but I love how it's turned out. So this is on 18 count even weave from So&So. It's by Zygarde. It's called Devosa, the even weave that it is. And I really need to get this done. I kind of stopped working on it for a while because I was just so unsure about using this pattern, even though I'd bought it myself. I've got quite a lot of Soda Stitch patterns, and I will share them at some point when I do a pattern stash. But yeah, I really need to get this finished. I want to get on with it. I don't know how much a frame is going to cost. It's yeah, it's quite long. So that is everything that I've been working on. New Year plans. The only solid plan that I have at the minute is I want to start a module embossing kit that I have, the 4 Seasons, because I like the pattern. I wanted to start it fairly soon anyway. It's one of the first ones I bought, but also because Christine from Calico, the channel called Calico, she has that pattern. I have the kit, she has just the chart, and she's going to have that as her New Year, New Start, and asked if I wanted to do, well, I suggested it first actually, that if she wanted to do a stitch along, and she contacted me not so long ago and said, oh, I'm going to do it for New Year if you're interested in a sale. So that's definitely going to happen. I'm obviously going to work on all these as well. At the minute, I just want to start everything. I've always, yeah, I thought I'd be the get one project done kind of person and then move on to the next, but there's so many things I want to stitch. So I kind of shocked myself today. I put all my kits and most of my charts, I've not done them all yet, into a spreadsheet, and I was going to use like a random number generator to just select maybe 5 new starts for next year, and I've got over 200 and I've not put them all in yet. And I know, I think I've got about 75 kits. Yeah, you can see those on my last videos. So that made me a little bit anxious, which is why a lot of these are from kits, like the Dimensions kits. I really want to get through those. And then a lot of my patterns are from magazines, which I kind of think, oh, well, you know, I didn't pay very much, because I don't tend to buy the magazines. What I tend to do, because I got magazine subscriptions years ago and I wasn't stitching anything from them, and I was just accumulating this huge pile of magazines that weren't getting used. So when I came back to cross stitch in the last year or so, I was like, I'm not going to do that. I'm not going to subscribe to magazines, but what I will do, if I see a pattern I like, then I don't mind buying it on eBay. So yeah, you pay a little bit more, but storage wise, you know, it's a lot less. So I've got quite a lot of magazine patterns. I've got maybe about 7 or 8 Mirabilias. The Michael Powell patterns that I bought last summer, and a few kind of really old ones that I had from maybe 20 years ago when I originally did cross stitch. I'm not sure whether I'll do those or not, but I've got a lot that I want to do. So yeah, I was a little bit shocked at how many I had. So I'm going to do Stitch and Stash this year, and I think the only things that I want to kit up before January, maybe a couple of the Michael Powell charts that I bought. If you don't know what I'm talking about, they'll be on my last video, I think. The desserts charts. So I want to kit up a couple of those maybe. I don't know what else. There's an anchor kit. Oh, it's not a kit, it's a magazine chart. There's an anchor chart that's like a spring nature kind of. It's got bluebirds on a, not bluebirds, blue tits on a feeder with peanuts, and it's really pretty. I'd like to do that one, so I might kit that one up. And I've got the margin embossing one, which is the 4 Seasons, and I've got all of these to do. And I would also like to start another Mirabilia. I don't know how realistic I'm being. I think I'm going to start everything and finish everything, but clearly that's not the case because I didn't do that this year. I only had two finishes this year. So I don't know. We'll see what happens. I'm not going to I'm not going to commit to anything right now, I don't think. I might do another video with this is what I'd like to do and then see how it goes. But yeah, that's about it. So that's my update. Merry Christmas to everyone. Hope you have a peaceful and happy holiday, and hope Santa comes, and I'll see you in the new year. All right, bye for now.